وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وخاتم الأنبياء والسيد المرسلين. يا أيها الذين اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن وإلا أنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجا وبعثهم منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي يساءلون وأرحام إن الله عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين اتقوا الله قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يهد الله ورسوله فقد كان فوزا عظيما. إن أحسن الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الحديث رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وكل أمور مبتدأ وكل مبتدأ بدعة وكل بدعة دلالة وكل دلالة في النار. Dear brothers and sisters, we praise Allah. We bear witness that there is no deity, nothing in this whole world worthy of our submission except Allah. And we bear witness that the path back to Allah, the path to our salvation, the path to the best of all victories is one path. And that is the path that has been followed for 1400 years. And that is none other than the path of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we ask Allah to keep us on that path and to make us truly of the victors. Today, well, this is a little background. My name, as was mentioned on the flyer, is Talib Karim. Alhamdulillah, I am in a position as a khatib, but many years ago I was in your same seat as a student. I remember very well my first Jummah. It was on the area right outside of the Founders Library. Outside. It was a bold thing for me because this is one of the first Jummahs as an adult that I'd ever attended. I had attended Jummahs with my parents, and I think at that time, well, I know that at that time I was embarrassed to make Jummah outside because I was saying, hey, these people are going to look at us strangely, you know. But for the first time in my life, I remember being on that campus, and Imam Abdul Rahman was the khatib, and you know the brother gave such a beautiful khutbah. You know, as a young student who had transferred from the United States Air Force Academy. So I transferred from Colorado Springs. So I was here at Howard, immersed with all of my people, right? And hearing this khutbah outside, it was so awesome to me. So awesome. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. And alhamdulillah, so now I'm here to give you the first khutbah of the semester, second khutbah of the semester. And so my words to you are something that I think that I have learned from that time. From that, I finished my degree in mechanical engineering a couple years after transferring here to Howard. And then I went on from mechanical engineering to work as an engineer for Ford, and then went on from there to go to law school here at Howard, and then go on from there to work for the federal government and work in private practice, work back in the federal government, go over to Africa, come back here, you know, doing work for many clients. And so now I'm in the policy space on part of my time, encouraging universities and engaging with them to get more money to support their science, technology, engineering, and math programs, particularly in the areas of cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and even to some extent, drone technology. And in the daytime, or other parts of my time, I'm helping people to prepare themselves for their death by drafting wills and trusts and getting their contracts and business affairs in order. So what have I learned from that time that I sat in your seat many years ago until now? And one of the things that I'm most struck by in terms of lessons is the lesson that many of us may have heard, which is said, "Ad-dunyatun fitnatun." Ad-dunyatun fitnatun. What is that? That life is just a test. Life is a series of tests. Now, what do I mean? You as students probably know this better than probably most of us, right? You go from one test to another test, one quiz to another quiz, then the midterm, and then after the midterm, more tests, quizzes, and then the end of the semester. Right? I've had the great pleasure of being an adjunct professor of law at Bowie State. And again, my entire syllabus is just an example of what you're talking about. Again, from the beginning of the class, assignments and tests, and then after you finish is the final exam, right? And then it doesn't stop if you go on the next semester and it continues. And as a lawyer, after you graduate from law school, is it over? No, because after that you have what? The bar exam. And you take the bar exam. Hopefully you pass it that first time. If you don't, take it again and again if you need to. And then you have your law license. You're a lawyer, right? Is it over? No, because then you have to go out and get a job, right? And then once you get your job, we found victory. Is it over? No, because each day on that job you're going to be tested, particularly as a Muslim. Do I close my door? I have my door, or I have my own office here. Do I close my door when I make salat, or do I leave it open? Do I put a sign up there and say, "Don't bother me because I'm making my salat"? Do I tell my supervisor, "Look, on Fridays I gotta be off this time"? Well, why was that? Well, the reason why, or I have to be off at least this time. During lunchtime, my lunch is made. It's gonna be about 2 hours because I can't actually go. So all these things you are going to have to find in life is a series of tests. And so what does Allah instruct us about these tests? One of the things that how can we pass these tests? Again, ad-dunyatun fitnatun. How can we pass the fitna, right? Or the fitan of the life experiences that we have? And Allah gives us some good examples or good instructions. The first instructions that you may remember that Allah has given us is when He says, "Isbiru wasabiru warabitu." Isbiru. What's isbiru? Patience. Engage in the act of patience. And don't just stop there, because he doubles down on that, right? Wasabiru. So first of all, it's a command. A command is to be patient, and then in the act of being patient, then find some contentment in that patience. Well, Rabitu is again then join with others who are engaged in that same type of effort. I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I have, that I don't do much in terms of relaxation out here, unfortunately. But one of the things I like to do is I like to look at Netflix. And one of the great Netflix series that I will encourage you guys to check out, it's really been a game changer for me, is called Resurrection Ertugrul. Resurrection Ertugrul. Go and search this out. It's all in Turkish. So I don't know if there's any Turkish-speaking people here, but I can't understand any of it save what's in Arabic. But it's a wonderful series, and it's amazing. It's amazing for many reasons, and I'm not going to even basically tell you all the reasons why, because I don't want to spoil it for you, right? But one of the things it does, it gives a history of the Ottoman Empire. From the very beginnings of the Ottoman Empire. And as some of us may know, the Ottomans were, of the last of the Khulafa. The last of the Khulafa, the last caliphate is said was the caliphate of the Ottoman Empire. And some say that, again, it's 1400 years after the Prophet ﷺ has been gone from us. But it is said that the Ottoman Empire reigned from about, maybe some would estimate, I'm again being really just off the cuff here, somewhere probably about 800 years after the Prophet ﷺ passed. From 800 years to probably about, they reigned for about 200 or 300, maybe some would say 400 years. But you may think it's in the very beginning, it's like great, victories and battles and those types of things. But no, one of the things that's the most beautiful things about the story is it goes back to this question or this idea that I mentioned at the beginning, as dunyatun fitnatun, that in the life of the people who are depicted in that story. So first starts off as a father who's the head of his little small tribe, and then 2 sons, and then one son has a wife, and then that wife has a sister, and then there's the mother who's like the matriarch, and then it's the other son, and the other son has a group of brothers who are his protectors, and they fight together, and battle the forces of evil. But in that story, it's one episode after the other episode talking about dunyatun fitnatun. So what are some of the examples? In one case, the first story talks about how the brother, he sees a woman and her father and her brother being accosted by the Templars. Some of us who are historians know that the Templars are a sect of Catholicism, which was really not a deviation. They were, in fact, some scholars suggest that they were actually worshipers of Shaitan. And so they were seeking to mislead the Pope into invading, and they invaded Jerusalem. And it wasn't until Salahuddin came and liberated Jerusalem, in which the Muslims were able to come back. But then they were engaging in a second crusade, and they were misleading the Pope and the Vatican to again invade Jerusalem once more. And so again, he saw the woman being accosted by some Templars, some knights. And immediately his instinct as a Muslim is he again rallied to her defense. And when he rallied to her defense, him and his companions, they easily dispatched themselves of the kuffar, the Templars, and brought the woman back to their village. But you would think that when he brought them back to the village, there would be a victory. But instead, the people were like, "Hey, why did you bring this woman? Again, from these Templars, it's going to be nothing but what? Fitna. Nothing. We're going to find nothing but fitna. Oh, now let's try to, let's take them back. Let's, send them back. And the father said, no, that's not our tradition. We are commanded, again, by the Prophet ﷺ to, again, care for the wayfarers and those who are in need. So we have to, it's our obligation, and it's a tradition of our culture to support them. So then, again, you would think, okay, case closed, no more issues, but no. Then after that, the people who were in, again, the Templars, they were in cahoots with some other some other Muslims. And so then they basically, again, convinced these other people who were the Muslims to come and tell the people who had taken in their prisoners to give them back, right? So then the other people in the village, hey, look, I told you, this woman is going to be nothing but what? Fitna, right? And so again, it goes on and on and on, one episode after the other episode, more fitna, more fitna. But what happens after the fitna, right? What happens in the fitna, right? Does you all know this, right? You all know, فَإِنَّ مَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, right? فَإِن, right? In the usra, right, is what? Yusra. And that, dear brothers and sisters, is one of the biggest lessons that I want to, again, convey with you. You are going to be tested, right, over and over and over again as students, as faculty, as staff, as men and women. And when you find yourself tested, don't give up. Because if you, again, listen to what Allah has commanded to you, you know that within that struggle, you will find ease. And in fact, your true ease won't actually come to you unless you engage in what? Engage in that which will put you into struggle. And oftentimes, again, just like I was giving you the example of, again, do you keep your door open or close your door? Do you make salat at all while you're, again, in your new job, right? Do you take off for Jummah or not? Do you tell your professor, hey, I got to leave for Friday? And again, alhamdulillah for all of you all who have done that, right? All of that is a fitna, right? But again, in that fitna, you will find Yusuf. May Allah guide us and help us to always make the right decision and find ourselves, again, amongst those who are the patient during these times of trial, tribulations. Alhamdulillah. بسم الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. In what I was saying in the last part of the khutbah, I gave two things that Allah instructed us on in terms of dealing with the fitna, right? The first one was isbiru, right? And embodied in the isbiru is the sabiru, right? And again, we know that Allah has said that in Allahu ma what? As-sabirin. Right? So again, patience, dear brothers and sisters. And I remember when I was in your very same seats, every time somebody talked to me about this concept of patience, the one person who came to mind, more recently, before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not before, but after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was the image of Martin Luther King Jr. And I would always think to myself, man, I don't like, Martin Luther King Jr.'s philosophy, of civil, non-violent disobedience. This idea of being patient and bearing with all of the struggles and not fighting back, to me was, an anathema to me of what it meant to be a man, and at least in my understanding then, was un-Islamic. It was like, hey, how you allow somebody to attack yourself, attack your family? Again, this idea of patience was unclear to me when I was a student, particularly in your seat. But alhamdulillah, I thank Allah for the opportunity to particularly go and study overseas and gain a better understanding. Because I now know that, again, this idea of sabr is powerful. Powerful. That the patience, right, along, again, with the embodiment of that patience. And one last thing, Rabitude. What's that concept of Rabitude? Within the patience, right? Because you say, okay, oh Allah, help me. Give me guidance. But then what else must you do? Rabitude means that you have to go and engage in doing what you're doing now. And that is connecting with other people and engaging in patience, perseverance together. You can't say, oh, I'm going to go out here in my corner and I'm just going to make dua to Allah, oh Allah, help me, help me, help me, right? And do nothing. No. You have to connect with other people, and in that connection, that rabitude, you will find falahan. You will find success in that. Right? And I can tell you, again, there are countless examples of this. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, think about the years of fitna, right? When the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were again boycotted, right? In these years of fitna, they were boycotted, right? And then what happened in those years? 2 deaths. 2 of the people who were the most closest to the Prophet ﷺ died, right? Who were they? Who were they? First, it was Khadija, radiallahu anha, right? His wife, the first of the believers. Not just his wife, but his business partner. Again, fitna. And then the death of Abu Talib, right? His uncle, his protector. And think about it, right? So the Prophet at that time, as you may remember, there were occasions in which he was given an offer. He was saying, the kuffar of that time said, hey, Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we'll give you a deal, right? Make a deal with us. Why don't you stop doing what you are doing, and in exchange, we will give you all the money. If you want money, we'll give you all the money you can ever imagine, right? Power, we will make you the chief, right? We'll make you the Khalifa of us all. You'll be the king. Be the king. If you like women, we're going to take care of you and give you all the beautiful women that you can ever imagine. Right? And what did the Prophet ﷺ say? Right? If you give me the sun in my right and the moon in my left, still I would not leave this. Right? But again, he didn't just stop there, but he actually made dua to Allah for, again, other companions that would help along the way. And we know that one of the greatest companions was also one of the greatest enemies of Allah at that time, right? And who was that? That was Umar, radiallahu anha. He prayed to Allah that Allah would send him Umar to be amongst his ranks, and Umar came and joined him. So again, this is an example, dear brothers and sisters. When you find yourself in calamity, which you will find yourselves often, do not seek to deal with this calamity on your own, but find counsel, find comfort, find support in those like those who are seated right now. Alhamdulillah, I talked to a sister who was at Hampton University. And you know, at Hampton University, subhanAllah, there is no Jummah taking place right now. There is no place for her to go and actually have Jummah. And inshallah, in the weeks of coming, they're going to be. But there is so, you all, alhamdulillah, at Howard, you are blessed. You are blessed. So with this blessing, what can you do? You, dear brothers and sisters, are in the position to provide leadership to the rest of those who are not in this room. And you should have seen, while we were talking, there are people looking at him and saying, hey, what's going on over there? There are people looking at you, especially our sisters. Our sisters who are adorning themselves with the hijab and the kimar, right? Alhamdulillah. You all are examples. So it is your obligation, your duty to again teach what you know. Convey again the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that each one of us who comes behind are his ambassadors. We are the Rasulullah, right? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are the messengers, right? He said, Anna Rasulullah wa antum Rasulullah, right? You are the messengers of the messenger. And so your job is to balaga, right? To convey hatta ayatun. Convey, if not just one ayah, it is your commandment. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I leave you with this idea, particularly here at Howard, where we have, some of you all may know, an administration who in many ways embodies the same type of people as, again, we saw in the embodiment of Abu Lahab, right? Or we saw in the embodiment of Pharaoh, right? We see, again, oppression. And when we think about particularly Abu Lahab, or we think about Pharaoh, or even before he converted, Abu Sufyan, these people, they were actually, they thought that they were harming, again, the people of Allah, but truly they're harming who? Themselves. And so when the Prophet, for example, was asked, hey, Prophet, we're getting oppressed. Why don't you pray to Allah to curse all these people? Right? What did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, I am not sent as a curse, but I am sent as rahmatul lil alameen. Right? I'm sent as a mercy for all of mankind. And so you, dear brothers and sisters, you are in a position to give guidance even to the president of this university. At least you can, again, make dua that he follows the right path. But every opportunity, again, that you have when you engage with your students, your fellow students, or your co-workers, or your teachers, right, or your administrators, again, think of that engagement as an opportunity for you, right? As an opportunity for you to, again, be a good example at least. And again, when you find yourselves, as you're going to find oftentimes, when you find yourselves in the fitna, think and remember this message, right? فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And think of the other message. اصبروا وصابروا ورابطوا وإن الله مع الصابرين. Remember the stories again of, and again I encourage you all to go check out this Netflix series and embody and immerse yourselves in these stories of fitna time and time again. And you'll be, I believe, more strengthened and more positioned to succeed, not only here at Howard University, but in life. سبحانك وبحمدك واستغفر الله ولا اله الا انت اغفر لنا بذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع يا الله رب العالمين. Oh Allah, have mercy upon us, oh Allah. Guide us, oh Allah. Protect us from all that is evil, oh Allah, and bless us to be amongst the victorious as we die and depart from this life as Muslims. Akim as-salam.